Hey, good morning, Eastern Oregon, and welcome to this May 30th version of AM Live on EOA, your connection to Eastern Oregon. And don't forget that we're right on Roku, which, by the way, our Roku channel is being overhauled. And so it looks a little bit funky right now, but it's going to be really cool when it gets done. So later on this week, there should be bigger changes coming to that. So
Morning.
Morning. How are you, man?
This is second Monday for sure.
This
is it's really like Monday.
This totally feels very strange, doesn't it?
Yeah.
To start the week on a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So really special show this morning. Zee Gimon from Kiev. She's live in Kiev. It is 6:00 in the evening there.
Yeah, that's about right.
Same day. Yeah. And 6:00 in the evening there. And so she's going to be joining us here in just a little bit, talking about life living in a city that is being bombed constantly all the time. So
is Kiev still being bombed?
Yeah.
Really?
It's Kiev.
Kiev.
Yeah, and I've been
that's like
correcting myself
Oregon,
all the time.
Oregon,
yeah. No, because I mean just recently they started again. Russia started bombing Kiev again.
So that would be called a resurgence.
Kind of a Part of it is like they had an anniversary, and Zee can talk to us about this. They had an anniversary like a celebration of the city being established or whatever it might be, and then so they thought that'd be a great opportunity. Now the one thing that has changed is I think they have the Patriot missiles or Patriot air defense system is in place, and it wasn't before.
So it shoots. That's the ones that shoot missiles out of the
yeah. So Zee will have she'll bring us kind of an up-to-date report on that and just kind of how she's experiencing that. Well, hey, so want to do sports?
Bring it out.
All right.
Today's a huge day for LHS baseball. They've been in the state championship game the last 2 years in a row. They lost to Hidden Valley in 2021. They beat Hidden Valley in 2022. Tonight, they play for the chance to return to that state championship game against Scappoose over there, 4 o'clock today. They played, the North Marion game on Friday. They were down 5-0, and they came all the way back and won that game 8-6. Sam Chachas came in to pitch in the fifth. He threw like 2 2/3 shutout innings, just shut the door on North Marion. He had a great day at the plate. We hit the ball late in the game. I mean, we have to hit in order to beat this Scappoose team. They're number one in the state, and they've only lost twice, and they're number one for a reason. I mean, I don't agree with all the rankings, but Scappoose is a real good baseball team. And the winner of this game tonight takes on the winner of Pendleton and Gladstone, who also play tonight in the state championship, June 3rd, over there at it's either at North Marion High School or at Volcano Stadium. They haven't put it out yet. So wouldn't it be awesome if it was Pendleton and LeGrand?
Where would they have that game?
That game would be over
here on the east side somewhere? No.
It'd be over there.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, where would they play it? Here? Pendleton?
I don't know.
No, I think they'd probably still play it over on the east side or on the west side.
Yeah.
Where either North Marion High School, which is the nicest high school baseball park in the state, or Volcano Stadium, which is the minor league right there out right on the highway.
So this is the quarterfinals or finals?
This is the semifinals.
The semifinals.
LHS softball's done for the year. They lost in the quarterfinals. It was a great year for them, though. Here's something cool. This last weekend, 2 LHS. What are they called? Harriers, if they're track and field athletes. I think they are called Harriers. We have 2 new state champions. A freshman, Brooke Perry, won the 3,000, and senior Meyer Whitmore, after going into it, I think he was ranked like 3rd or 4th in the state going into the state championships, and he ended up winning the state championships in shot put. So that's pretty cool. Two LeGrand kids. And then Addie Clumby, you remember who that is?
I know the Comby.
Clumby.
No, I don't.
She was the queen at the 2021 East-West Shrine Game with one leg.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
she won a state championship for girls in the 100 meters para. So the para state championship went to Addie Clumby from North Powder. That's
wow.
Cool. Yeah, they for some reason they don't honor them on, like when they do the para 100, they put the boys and the girls. She was second. There was a boy that was faster than her, but on the website and on trackathletic.com, she's the number one girl in the state.
Wow.
And so she's first place for girls in the para 100.
That's crazy.
Which is pretty cool.
That's awesome.
Very, very cool. And she's been on the show. She was the queen, that was already 2 years ago. That's crazy. She was a sophomore. She's graduating. And time is just flying. That's all I got for sports though today.
All righty. Cool. Well, hey, so I have an update on my knee replacement surgery, and let me give that to you, and we'll be back here in just a second. Hey, Eastern Oregon, just want to give you another therapy update on my knee replacement surgery, which was about a month ago now, and Grand Ronde Hospital Therapy and Sports Medicine and Greg Dombeck have been walking with me, literally helping me get through this process.
When you're coming out of surgery, what we're trying to make sure that we get back is your range of motion. In particular, flexion, which is the bending in the knee, and then extension, which is how straight you can get your leg. Extension, we'd like to see that it gets as close to zero as we can, as quick as we can. That'll set you up for changes in your gait. And, as far as walking with a limp, that plays a big part of that, is how straight you can get your leg. So as soon as we can, we like to get full extension and then bending your knee, so flexion to about 90 degrees. Certainly by the 4-week mark, we need to see 90 degrees. Everybody can progress, some a little faster, some a little slower, depending on the recovery and how stiff the knee was before surgery. But certainly by 4 weeks, I'd like to see 90 degrees. After that, really what we're shooting for is 115 in that ballpark. Some get a little bit more, but 115, you're going to be functional. You're going to be able to squat down. You're going to be able to ride a bike, and so that's really what we're looking for as far as range of motion. So 0 being perfectly straight, and then 115 degrees of flexion for the knee bend.
A lot of what we're working on right now is building up the muscle strength that I have lost over a period of time by favoring that left knee. My knee has been bad for about a year or a little longer, and so then over the period of time, you walk more. Even now, you can see my weight is more on my right side than it is on my left, and so things like that. Working to stand more straight up and down, and as I'm walking, to walk without a limp, and so on and so forth. Those are the kinds of things that we're working on. Appreciate Grand Ronde Hospital and their therapy and sports medicine department and what they're doing. One of the things I want to mention is that when you go here, when you're working on stuff, it's a big room that you're in, and there's a lot of people that are coming and going, and a lot of therapists that are coming and going. And one of the things that I really appreciate is that people are happy. I mean, the people that work here, they're happy to be here. They're happy with their jobs. They're pleasant. And that is very obvious as you interact with them and they greet you. And so big thumbs up to that. You can just tell that the people that work here are happy with what they do. Part of their mission is helping people like me get back on their feet literally and move towards having some kind of a normal physical life. So thanks again. Thanks, Greg, for helping me. And we'll see you guys next time on the next update. All right. And I'm about to the pre-surgery pain level. So, because I've been dealing with pain all the way along. And so things are looking up. Things are doing good.
Awesome.
Yeah. So
Awesome.
yeah, let's take a look at outside today. It looks like it's going to be a pretty day, and
I'm good with that.
yeah, and let's see, and then here's supposed to be up to 76
A little
today.
bit cooler than yesterday.
Yeah,
It's gonna
it was
cool down even more tomorrow. 71.
Yeah, I went to I streamed the that Memorial Day thing yesterday, and man, up on the hill, it was just blasting hot. You forget how hot that sun can get until you're just right out in the middle of it. But so, alrighty, well, we're going to take a quick break, and then Zee Gimon from Kiev is going to be with us. We'll be right back. Give you guys a little Roku demo here. So this is the Roku, and this is our EOA app that we have added. When you click on that, you get this little cool graphic, yeah. And then the first window that you see is the live streams window, and you will. All right. We're back with Zee. How are you?
Pretty good.
how wild technology is. How wild it is that you can be here with us this morning.
Yeah, no kidding. All over the ocean.
Yeah.
A long ways away.
So what time is it there? Is it a little after 6 there in the evening?
Yeah, it's 6:13. So
yeah. So the last time we talked, Zee, I think that you were. It's been over a year since we talked, and the last time that we'd talked, you guys were in Kiev. The city was being bombed, and then not too long after that, you decided to relocate and move. So talk to us about that journey a little bit.
Yeah, so we back then I was staying with my mom, and we still have no idea why we decided to move, because everything was in place. We checked all the foodstuffs and everything, and the next day we left. So yeah, we absolutely have no idea why, but we did. As mom and I joked that we didn't go somewhere, we just left Kiev so that my husband could focus on his army tasks. And so yeah, so we left. It took us 5 days of travel, and we decided after like every single day we were thinking where we were going. So we ended up in Berlin, and it was an interesting time, actually. Compared to the stories that I've heard, we had a very light pace, and it was very good because kids got into a Christian private school, and we got friends there immediately. We made there was a Church of the Nazarene there where we got involved right away. So yeah, it was busy time, but being a refugee is absolutely no fun. So now that I've been a refugee and now that I've came back, it actually feels much easier psychologically to be in a city that is being bombed than being somewhere out, like in another country.
Because
Interesting.
because you went, tell us through. So you went through Hungary and then made your way eventually to Germany. Is that correct?
No, we went through Poland. We
Oh, that's
spent it took, we spent 2 days in the center of Ukraine. Then we traveled to Lviv, which is western Ukraine. Then our friends met us in Poland. And then my cousin that lives in Germany, in Berlin, she took us to Berlin. So yeah, that was our trip. And yeah, throughout this time, we had so many invitations. One of the invitations that I loved the most was an invitation to Alaska. So yeah, so technically we could travel anywhere we wanted. The only problem was that we didn't want to go anywhere but uh, be at home.
Right.
yeah, and you navigated the kids being in school, and I mean that was all a part of what you were navigating too, right?
Yeah, and it's I'm so used to the fact that we always do all kinds of these decisions with my husband. So that was one of the hardest parts that I had to make literally life changing decisions on my own
Wow.
because I just couldn't ask him. He was busy handling a gun. So
Crazy.
yeah, so
Wow.
that was probably the hardest, but I'm thankful for my mom that she was there because she was another adult that helped navigate through all of these things.
So so then what kind of led you to returning to Kiev then?
We were ready to return right away, actually, because again, we didn't plan on leaving. So the main question with me and my mom were like, when can we back? Can we go back? But we decided. Mom had to go to the States in the end of June last year, and so we decided that it would be easier for her to travel from Germany instead of going all the way back to Ukraine and then taking, because there's no flights out of Ukraine right now. I recently traveled to the Netherlands. It used to be a 3 hour flight directly to Amsterdam. It took me 26 hours this
Wow.
time. Yeah, so we decided that it would be easier for mom to travel from Berlin. And so we stayed until July. And then she came back and we closed all of our refugee documentation stuff because it's Germany, and there's so much paper. Yeah. And so, yeah, we basically closed all the bureaucracy stuff and said goodbye to all our friends. And in and my husband was still in Kiev, like close to Kiev, back then. So he would be home every single weekend, and I would be in Germany, stuck in Berlin. So that
Right.
was especially hard. Yeah, so we decided that we're coming back, and we came back on August 16th. On 17th, he got a day off because it was his birthday. So we were planning on celebrating his birthday. And he got a message right there, right then, that he's going to Kharkiv, which is east of Ukraine. And so, yeah. So as soon as we came back, he left.
But at least that probably felt like a pretty amazing reunion, though, after being refugeed
Not
and
really.
other.
Well,
Oh,
yeah. I've been to Kiev for just a weekend before. I traveled from Berlin to Kiev just for a weekend to spend with him. So that felt great. But at the same time, the place where he was being sent was heavily occupied by Russians at the moment.
Ah,
And so, and the rotation that he was headed to, we knew that it's not going to be shorter than 3 months.
Ooh.
So yeah, it was kind of a bittersweet thing. So we saw each other. The kids finally saw their dad, but we had to say goodbye again. And this time, it wasn't just for training that he was leaving; it was for um, heavy action
wow.
because he was participating in that counter offense that was taking place in September, where they freed the entire Kharkiv region, and that's where his team was. So it was very stressful time, but
Right.
still, it was much easier being home.
Wow. So, kind of talk to us about how are you managing life? I mean, we were talking a little bit at the very beginning of the program. I don't know if you heard and so talk to us about what's going on currently in Kiev and the bombings that are going on and so on and so forth.
Yeah. So before the main action in Kiev from the very beginning of the war was in the very beginning of the war. So for about 2 months of in the beginning last spring, and then it was sort of quiet until October when they started heavily bombing the infrastructure. So the main thing was that we were preparing for a very, very cold winter without any lights and without any cell phone connection because it's run by electricity also, and heating also because we have a lot of the heating plants are covered, like, are run by electricity also. And so getting ready for a very dramatic winter. We even got winter sleeping bags, and we got a tent for the kids just in case there's no heating at home because we have central heating. There's no other options. We cannot just build a fire in the apartment.
And I think I
And
do
so
have you can't see it, but I do have that picture. I didn't get the other pictures uploaded, but I got the picture of you guys with the tent in the middle of, is that like the middle of your living room?
no, that's the kids' room.
Oh.
We decided that it will be just for fun. I'll set up the tent, and so they camped out in their kids' room for I think 3 days because they didn't want to take the tent down. But it was for them. It was fun. I mean, we tried to find fun things to do, and thankfully, whenever there was no electricity, at least we have a gas stove, so we had no problem with cooking. It was worse for people that have electrical stoves because they had also trouble just making. And it was we had I think about 3 days without any electricity, and so that was stressful because they were bombing at the same time, and there was no cell phone connection, so you could not. We live in a sort of quiet area, but I couldn't even tell my husband that we are okay. So he was going nuts over there, um, and it was stressful for everybody because we just couldn't communicate and say that everything's fine, we're fine.
I can't imagine how stressful that would be. Yeah. So when there is successful cell phone communication, how often are you guys able to talk?
I think we lost her.
Oh. Hopefully she'll come back here in just a second. And if you guys have questions,
Yeah, shoot them on in if you
Yeah.
have questions.
yeah,
We'll see if she pops back in.
yeah.
Should we find something to play?
Yeah, let's just we'll be right. Just hang tight, and we'll be back in just a minute. right, we're back with Zee. Thanks, Zee. I guess that's what happens when we're halfway around the world from each other, right?
Yeah.
So
Um,
yes. So the question that I had asked is how often do you get to connect with him via cell phone when you do have that service regularly?
Actually, we've been lucky and blessed because he has been transferred to Kiev in December. So we haven't seen each other for 4 months when we came back, but now he's home all the time. Well, he still serves, but he's home every night, and so that's good.
Well, that's good. So tell me, before offline, we were talking about and what's new in your life, and I know the answer to this. So talk about the new addition to your family.
Yeah, so we got a dog. We also, I didn't mention it, but we also got another cat that was born at Sam's positions, army positions. And yeah, we decided that why not during the war? Just let's just add to our family, so it's even more reason to stay home and not travel and be a refugee. So yeah, he's 6 months old now, and is currently chewing up his toys underneath the table, but thankfully quietly.
I would imagine that there's a certain amount of comfort. I don't know, in the middle of the chaos that you're experiencing, that it kind of helps. I don't know. Do you feel like that helps give you an output or an outlet?
Yeah, it's mainly one of the things that everybody needs. Everybody that I talk to in Kiev, they all are looking for various things that would get their minds off the news
Right.
because uh, Kiev is being bombed and the news are sad every day. So you kind of need that mental help in order to stay sane. And so for me, our animals were that kind of an outlet. With the kids, yeah, kids are older, so they're in school. Thankfully, the schools are offline in our case, and so yeah, it was pretty good. And yeah, so we all need some kind of a distraction.
Yeah.
For sure.
So before the war started, I think that you and your husband were doing remote IT work. Is that right?
Mhm.
And are you still able to do that, or what are you doing now?
Yeah, I have worked for the same company ever since.
Oh wow.
So if anything, we've got more work. We got even several new people at our office because we just needed more people due to the amounts of uh, work that we needed. And so the company is prospering, and it's it's interesting to watch, and it's interesting to be a part of it because also being a Sam a lot in Sam's unit, so we felt there a lot of support from the side of our work and our team. Sam is currently obviously not working at IT. He's serving, but yeah, he's waiting time when he can come back because he likes IT more than uh, army service.
Do you blame him?
No. Well, I mean, I have friends that actually are army people and they thrive in it, but just it takes a different person to enjoy that kind of work, I think.
Absolutely.
So
Yeah.
we need all kinds, and I'm thankful that we have been a part of it. But yeah. I miss my partner in crime at work.
Oh, I can imagine.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
so tell us about the current. I mean, it seems like as I've been following the news, and given that you never know for sure if you're getting the straight scoop in the news or not, regardless of where you're listening.
You're
Yeah.
never getting
No.
straight scoop.
Yeah. So, but when you were bombed previously, has that changed currently? Are there new defense systems that are in place that weren't before? Just talk about that a little bit.
Yeah. So I only have the information that's available from the public sources, of course, and it's good. And I think there's more to it than is available in public sources. But yeah, we recently got the Patriots. So thanks USA for that help, because we've seen quite an improvement in the accuracy of the shot down missile. So mostly we've been bombed 15 times in the last 20 days or so. And the majority of the missiles and drones and everything was shot down. I don't know whether it was by Patriots or by other things, but um, still, I think like the compared to previous times, most of the injuries or most of the damage right now is just by debris. So there's no direct hits, which greatly improves the idea that people are not getting hurt. So it just yeah. So it's much better. Uh Obviously we're doing something right in terms of the military successes because the Russians were really, really active. Yeah, you mentioned in the very beginning the Kiev Day. So Kiev turned 1541 years old, and this Sunday, and it was just one of those days when um, the Russians decided to create fireworks for us in other sense. But thankfully, I don't think even there were any victims besides just light things. So yeah, the quality of air defense has greatly improved. I don't know if it applies to other towns. Yeah, and I have the dog and a cat now running. So in case you hear weird noises, it's them.
I have a question.
Yeah.
So one of the things that gets talked about here in America a lot, especially right now, is like whether or not Russia is like playing cat and mouse, or if they're like going full bore. Is there a fear there, like that Russia might be holding back? And because that gets talked about a lot here, like what's going on? Like we don't get clear information. We live in America where we have a two party political system, and you're getting information from here. And one of the questions that we talk about here is like, is Russia holding back, and is there a fear of that?
Again, I'm not a political expert, so it will be just my opinion based on the experts that I've listened to. I don't think they're holding back. I think they have because their information system is run by propaganda. So I think there's a huge informational gap within Russia itself. So I don't know what kind of information are they getting. I think people are afraid to provide bad news to Putin or something like that, because it feels like the decisions they're making are not, they don't make sense. And I don't think they're holding on because they simply don't have a lot to hold on to, except for the nuclear weapons, which are kind of on the table, but yeah, we have no idea whether they will use it. And the sources that we've talked to, that we've listened to, they say that actually they're not going to be using the nuclear weapons.
That would be a mess.
They have been, yeah, they have been talking about exploding one of our nuclear power stations. But again, you have to realize that if they manage that, then Russia will also be affected greatly by it. So it also would not make any sense to do that from any logical standpoint. Granted, Russians have not been acting logically, so we never take off anything off the table,
right?
Because we just never know. But yeah, I think I remember the mood of Ukrainians in the very beginning of the war, and compared to now, everybody's pretty much sure that the victory is ours. We just need to finalize it, finalize all the details about it.
In
So,
American media, you
with
guys
all
are
the-
portrayed as badasses. Seriously.
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah, I mean
Because yeah, we have so much support from all over the place, so it's quite impossible to lose. We have to be pretty bad to manage to lose right now.
Well, and I tell you, in my ignorance of just not knowing, I'm delighted and surprised at how well it's come together and how well you guys have been able to defend yourselves.
Absolutely.
But on the same hand, I think that, I mean, a lot of Americans, they relate that to what would it be if someone attacked us? What would it be? How would we respond? And so on and so forth. And so it's very, it doesn't take very much to kind of get our head around how determined we would be.
You got a friend in there.
Yep.
Oh, well,
Awesome.
Yeah, I think the main thing that I've seen, I've recently been in Netherlands and talked about Ukraine also, and please. And one of the things was that actually, I always joke that Ukraine gained its independence in so it was 31 years, 32 years this year. And just like Israelites spent the desert, we have to go 40 years until we finally can enter the land. And that's what I've seen here, because this year Ukrainians finally got their national identity, in the sense that majority of Ukrainians switched to Ukrainian language. We were mostly bilingual before, speaking Russian and Ukrainian. And we just stood together, not just called everyone to stand with Ukraine, but we stood with each other. And that was the main thing that got us through the main hardships of the first few months, because people helped each other, and that was the best thing that happened. Now we just need to learn how to live together and keep on doing that in the peaceful times, because when times are peaceful, people are starting to find fault with each other, and it's true for pretty much any country. So.
Wow. What's the word on the streets? Is there, like in Ukraine, is there an end in sight?
There's a lot of talk. I'd say that my personal thing and my friends, we know that the victory will be ours. When it will happen, we have no idea, because there's so much that's going on. It might be, I don't know, in a month. It might be in a couple of years, and we will still have a lot of work to do after the victory. But yeah, we need to ensure that we'll be able to finalize all of that after Narod. Yeah, we'll have to work on that afterwards, because there's just when all the people that are currently serving in the army come back, it's going to be half of the population that hasn't served in the army, half that served. And even from the psychological standpoint, it's going to be hard to reconcile the two, because even now you have people who left, people who stayed, people who left and returned, people who served, people who didn't serve, and all of this is already creating strain between people. But yeah, it's something that needs to be addressed, and we are starting, even in our church, we're starting to talk about these issues even now, so that we are prepared for everything when the victory will be finally ours.
Well, because you probably have a mix of people still that are like, we shouldn't be in this war. I mean, because you have a blend of people, right? And some of them are very much pro-Russia, but they all live in Ukraine. And I mean, do you hear that? You hear that among the people that you know, or is that just kind of a vibe that you know that's out there?
I live in a bubble, pretty much as everybody does. So in my where in the people that I know, nobody's waiting for Russia. And most, like, all my friends switched to Ukrainian. Even in that sense, we're not pro Russia. But there are still a lot of people that have been eating up Russian propaganda, and Russia is their main weapon is not nuclear weapon, is the propaganda, because you read it and it's you start to believe it, because it sounds nice, easy, logical. I don't know, but yeah, it's kind of a they live in 1984, in the Orwell's 1984. So unless you say 2 + 2 is 5 and really believe it, you're not alive anymore. And so, yeah, it's a lot of the occupied areas of Ukraine have been brainwashed also, saying that Ukraine doesn't want you, Ukraine left you, they're not going to come back and save you. And so I think it's extremely hard for people that are there to hold on to the thought that they're not left behind, and that Russia is not indeed their savior, because that's what Russia is saying. They came to save us from life, obviously. But yeah, so it's gonna be hard, and it's one of the things that we cannot allow ourselves to forget, because we'll have to deal with winning over people, especially like in Donbass and Luhansk area, where the war has been going on for 9 years now, since 2014. So we'll have to work with those people, untangle all the lies that they have heard from the Russians. And so, yeah, it's in my in my area, there's not a lot of people like that, but still, unfortunately, there are people out there that think that Russia is on the savior of the world.
I can't imagine. I mean, we get pretty disgusted. I end up yelling at the TV. Well, not yelling. Talking back to the TV. I'm still a news person, and I watch the news every day, and so on. And you can always tell when a story is biased in some manner or not, or you're not getting the whole story. You just kind of get a whiff of that. But I can't imagine a media entity whose whole goal is just to do propaganda and spew something in an incredibly thoughtful, purposeful, biased manner. And I mean, that's pretty pretty chilling what you said. It was like that, their real weapon is not nuclear war. It's the propaganda. That has to be daunting from time to time.
It's hard because in order to undo all of the impacts, it takes so much work. Because if somebody comes to you and suddenly says, well, USA has been doing things the wrong way all your life, you're probably not going to believe it because you thought that everything's fine and USA is helping. And one of the things also that I always keep in mind is that the Ukrainian news are also biased because it just the way news are, they always have a little bit of propaganda in them, or just not propaganda, but just bias.
Mm-hmm.
But in Russia, they took it into the art form in a way because my husband brought some of the newspapers from Kharkiv region where he was stationed that was occupied and deoccupied by their guys. And it's chilling when you read these newspapers and having spent some time in the USSR and having read 1984 and Animal Farm and many other anti-utopian and Brave New World type of books, you read these newspapers and you think, can it be real? Because it feels like you're reading just an artifact from those books.
Wow.
Supposedly fictional, but not.
Right.
And that is chilling because you realize that people have been you don't have to kill a person to kill a person. And that's the worst part that they're doing, because a lot of people in Russia truly believe that they're helping Ukraine. So it's one of those things. In the very beginning of the war, I was listening to a devotional because it was Lent time right before Easter. And one of the weeks, the entire week was focused on forgive them, Father, for they don't know what they're doing. And it was quite ironic at that time, but I keep realizing that really they don't have any idea what they're doing. And it's hard to deal with that because you cannot just say to them, well, you're doing wrong things, because they believe they're helping. And yeah, it's quite impossible to talk to them even, because you're on different sides and they don't realize that something's wrong.
So how do you, and I was thinking about this yesterday when I knew I was going to be talking to you, how do you deal with the resentment personally? I mean, I would have troubles with that. I mean, being a believer and the conflict of not holding a grudge and all of that. I mean, that's something I deal with as a competitor from time to time. I can't imagine, how you feel when somebody's trying to destroy you and your country. I don't know. Do you have any insight on how you deal with that?
I fail daily.
Yeah.
I'll be honest. And I've started liking the Old Testament a lot more. Because when you read, I could never understand the Psalms before. When you read things like just a second. Anyway, when you read Psalms and when you read things like bash the heads of their babies on the rock, when you don't have enemies, it's kind of hard to think of that, because you're like, well, this is wrong. Jesus said we should love our enemies and turn the other cheek. But to be honest, in the days when they're bombing us, and when yesterday my kids just left for school and the sirens started blaring, and we had several rockets shot down in our district, I really was ready to go along with that sentiment in the Psalms, because you think, well, less babies, less people to bomb us. So yeah, it's not easy to be a Christian in this time. So yeah, I
Well,
don't hate, but it's just more of a incredibly annoying thing, because you keep asking, why are you doing all of this? Because it doesn't make sense. We lived as friends for so many years,
right.
Mm-hmm.
and I had so many friends there, uh, friends that didn't even write how are we doing after doing ministry for 31 years together.
Wow.
So all of these things are, I do realize they might be uh, scared to say something wrong, or maybe they're, I don't know, but nobody said anything except for a few Russian families that don't live in Russia anymore. So it's
Wow.
kind of it's sad, because many people have families in both countries. Many people have friends in both countries, and so when you have to deal with something like that, when you have to prove that um, the Russians are bombing Ukrainians, um, there's not much you can do. So yeah,
Wow.
it's hard.
Crazy.
Well, Z, thank you so much for coming on and giving us an update. And I know that digging into some of this is potentially painful and hard, because we're kind of digging into where it is that you are on a day-to-day level. But it helps. It helps us. We know that we're getting the straight scoop, from you. It's genuinely your perspective and what you're experiencing, and that matters to us, and it helps. So yeah, so thanks for kind of taking us on the journey with you today.
Yeah, thanks for the invitation.
Yeah,
Appreciate it.
yeah. So alrighty, well, I'm sure somewhere down the line we'll talk again, and we'd love to be able to have you come back on.
Hopefully by the time, maybe soon, there will be victory, so we'll be
Yeah.
able to talk about that.
Yeah, wouldn't that be awesome? All right. Hey, thanks, Z, so
Yep.
much. We'll talk soon.
Yep. See ya. Bye.
Bye. All right.
Yeah.
Wow.
I'm glad I'm not.
Yeah.
When she was talking about the propaganda,
Yeah.
that's the number one weapon of communism of all time.
Right.
I mean, it's been communists' number one. They use propaganda more than bullets. I mean,
No,
that's
and it was,
part of
I
the-
mean,
part of the deal.
during World War II,
Yeah.
when, when on the front lines, when the Allies were against Germany, I mean, they would have loudspeakers
Yeah.
that were going back and forth. I mean, but primarily it was, I mean, and they had, when they were fighting Japan, they had, I mean, Japanese radio announcers, female radio announcers, and they would be like, "Oh, they've forgotten you. They don't care about you at home anymore. Why don't you just give up?" And I mean, yeah, that. But it's the same thing. It's the same. It's a different time, different means. But man, crazy. So
I didn't even know they were still getting bombed every day like that.
yeah.
Could you imagine just, hey, you wake up, the alarm goes off. Oh, we got a couple bombs coming.
Well, or like
just like it's not even
you send your kids out the door to go. Yeah, that's awful.
Oh. No.
All right.
No.
You want to get us out of here?
On this day, what is today? The 30th.
Yeah.
1431. 19-year-old Joan of Arc is burned at the stake by an English-dominated tribunal in Rouen, France.
When was that at?
1431.
Okay.
Joan of Arc. 1966, the U.S. launched Surveyor 1 to the moon. 1967, American motorcycle daredevil Robert Evel Knievel's motorcycle jumped 16 automobiles in Gardena, California. 1967.
Thank you. You knew I was going to ask the date again.
1987, North American Philips Company unveils. What do you think came out in 1987 by Philips?
From Philips.
Yeah.
87.
Yeah.
87 Philips. I don't know. I can't-
Compact disc video.
Oh, Philips. I was thinking of
Philips.
Philips
Like,
Morris.
no,
The-
like Philips,
Okay.
like the
yeah,
technology company or whatever they are.
yeah.
2020 on this day, SpaceX's Falcon 9 rocket launches carrying the Dragon capsule from Cape Canaveral to the International Space Station, first private company to launch astronauts into space. Isn't that crazy? No, there's going to be people just taking joy rides to Mars in like 10 years. Like, oh, what are you doing this weekend? Oh, I'm going to Mars.
Yeah.
That's going to be normal.
Yeah. Probably in your lifetime. I might be dead by then.
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's just insane. The number one song in America on this day 20 years ago, Rock Your Body, Justin Timberlake. So that'd be on this day in 2003.
2003.
Years ago. And then I took this one off of my mom's Facebook page, the quote for the day.
Okay.
If an old dude ever gives you advice while peeling an apple with a pocket knife and eating pieces right off the blade, you should probably take it. One more time. If an old dude ever gives you advice while peeling an apple with a pocket knife and eating pieces right off the blade, you should probably take it.
Wow.
I mean, that's pretty
pretty
solid.
good. Yeah, you had that.
I mean, that's a good one. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you probably should listen to that guy.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Eastern Oregon. Hey, thank you, Z.
Appreciate
Still
it.
see you. Yeah. Appreciate you being here. All
I'll be
right.
back on Thursday.
All right. Right here. Oh, yeah, we'll talk about it later. All right. I'm not queued up here. Yeah. Just talk amongst yourselves while I'm done. All right. See you soon.